Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be reviewing and also comparing the iPad 6 mini to the iPad 5 mini. There are a bunch of different changes to these from the 5 to the 6, and we're going to go through them today. So let's start with the 6 mini. So right off the bat, you can see that it has a new camera, where the mini only has, it's not even a widget, or it's not even poking out from the rest of the iPad. So yeah, that's a thing. And also, there is a flashlight on this iPad that wasn't even added. Then there wasn't even a flashlight on the iPad 5 mini. There's no flashlight, it was just this camera. Put that right there, actually. But also, for this iPad, there are some noticeable changes. There are actually things, or how do I say this, speakers on both sides of the tablet. I don't know why. It's probably just for like more sound, like one part of the sound is like going or coming from one side of the speakers and the other's coming from the other side. And again, instead of the USB charging port, it is the USB-C. USB-C actually plugs into it. And also, one more thing, and two more things for the outside. So it has, or three more things for the outside actually. So it has a flat edges. It has like flat edges and a flat outline. Where the iPad 5 mini, it kind of like folds in that way. And also, probably one of the biggest actually noticeable differences. Actually, we'll get that, and one of the most big noticeable differences is that there's no home button. There isn't any home button, and that is just because they wanted to like have that. And do you think this looks like the iPhone XR? Because I think it kind of looks like the iPhone XR. It's just, the iPhone XR would be like right here and right there. But yeah, this kind of looks like the iPhone XR, but it's still a pretty good iPad. But also, one last thing, is that the buttons, the volume buttons, instead of being up here in this corner, they move down to this corner on the same side as the power button, or on the same edge as the power button. And that is because for styluses, they actually magnetically attach to the side. And since styluses are like basically as long as the iPad, they just needed more room, so they moved the power buttons up here. So that's all the changes for the iPad 6 mini on the outside. Okay, now we're gonna look at the iPad 5 mini. What happened, like what are also the differences? So again, just like the, wait, did I miss something? Yeah, I think I did. There's also no headphone jack at the top or bottom of this iPad. There is zero headphone jack, as you can see here. Just wipe this off real quick. There is no headphone jack I almost dropped it. There's no headphone jack anywhere to be found on this iPad. But there is a headphone jack on the iPad 5 mini, actually. And also, the power buttons, it's in the corner. The power button's right there, and that's the camera, sorry. The power button's right there, and the volume buttons are up there. And it's also USB and the speakers, they're only on one side of the iPad. And there's also a home button, and the screen is relatively smaller. So that's all for the outside. Now, cases. We're going to look at two cases for the iPad 6, the iPad 6, and the iPad 5 mini. The iPad 6 mini and the iPad 5 mini. So, I think relatively these iPads, or actually the iPad 5 mini looks to be a little bit taller than the iPad 6. And I think it's because that the iPad 6 has a more full screen than just this. But here is the iPad 5 mini case. Overall, I think it's one of the more protective cases one of the more protective than this particular one. It's a stronger material. It has leather on the outside. It's really thick, and it wraps all the way around all the edges, where the iPad 6 mini case doesn't. This particular one doesn't. But who knows? Probably some other ones do it too. But also, let's take a look at the insides of these iPads. So we're not going to actually turn them on, but I'm just going to tell you guys some things. So the iPad 6 mini, it has the USB-C. The iPad 5 mini has the USB. Pretty minor difference. But I was surprised the very first time that I unboxed this one. And also, for the iPad 6, it charges a couple watts faster than the iPad 5 mini. Now, I'd say that's like pretty good. You can get a lot of use out of this particular iPad. It is very helpful when, like, if you're on an airplane and you need something to do and, like, your phone doesn't have something you want to do on it, and just your last resort is your iPad. And there's a lot of charge hold on it. There's a lot of charge on it because it charges really fast. But it doesn't hold charge for any longer than the iPad 5 did. Actually, I think it held charge shorter than the iPad 5, actually. It's either shorter or the same. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If it's on 100%, you can use it for maybe 2.5, 3 hours straight, and then it'll like conk out. And that's pretty good for an iPad mini. Like the iPad Pro and the iPad Air, especially the iPad Pro, can probably go like 5-6 hours because it's the iPad Pro. But also, one of the more things on the inside. So on the inside of the iPad 5 mini, so if you use a device for longer or shorter, you can lose full battery count. Like for this iPad, since I just got it, it still has maximum capacity battery of 100%. This one probably only has 98. And devices lose power over time. Slowly but surely they do. And so that's basically pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching my tech review. See you guys in the next one.